Alright, welcome back to another Stacksweeper video. Today, what I'm going to try and do is try to get at least 500 points. That is not a good start, but it doesn't matter. This is what we need to get started, a cascade. So, in yesterday's video, I realized that I did not really explain how to play Minesweeper. I just kind of assumed that everyone knows how to play Minesweeper, and that definitely will not be the case. A lot of people, especially if you're a millennial, you probably have seen Minesweeper before, and if you're Gen Z or younger even, you might not even know what it is. So to give you some background, Minesweeper is a simple game that came pre-installed on a lot of the old Microsoft Windows operating systems when you first got the computer. So it came pre-installed with Minesweeper and I believe maybe Snake and maybe another game. I can't remember all of them, but I do remember every computer had a Minesweeper game. So when you went to, for example, when you were a kid and you're about my age, which is maybe 30 something, then you might have had this experience as well, where you go to a relative's house and all the adults are talking, and you just get bored and you go on the computer. And the internet wasn't a big thing then. I think some computers had internet, some didn't, but even if you did go on the internet, there wasn't that much to do. And as a kid, you weren't really tech savvy, so you don't really, at least I wasn't, so I didn't really know what to do. No. So what I would do is I would just go on the computer and play games like Minesweeper. But at that time, I didn't even know how to play properly. So what I would do is just kind of click around and just wait for something to happen, which is usually I would just hit a bomb and the game would be over, and I would just do that over and over again. But even that was a better alternative to just kind of listening to the adults talk about boring stuff. But having said that, I will explain how to play Minesweeper. So it's really simple. Classical Minesweeper, unlike Stacksweeper here. Oh my god, this is not a good start. But unlike Stacksweeper here, classical Minesweeper has no letters on the squares, right? It's just a blank grid. And what you're trying to do is find information, and avoid hitting a bomb. So what you can do is, once you click on a square, it will open, and it will either have a bomb or a number like you see here underneath it. And what the numbers indicate is how many bombs are in its proximity, right? So, for example, if you look at this one right here, it means that in its proximity, in the surrounding squares, there are 6, 7, 8 squares, right, total. There's only one bomb next to this one here. So, as you can see, all of the squares are open except for this Z square right here. So it means that by logical deduction, the Z must have a bomb. So if I click on this, the game will be over for me. So I don't want that to happen. So what I can do is I right click, or on a Mac you do control click on the Z, and you plant a flag. And that indicates that I know that there's a bomb here, so don't click here, right? So that's what that means. And going through the grid like this, you continue to gather information. So for example, this 2 here, you can see that there's already one bomb next to it, and there must be 2. So this one must also be a bomb, right? Now, we just kind of go through the grid using this kind of information. Here's another one. 1 here, it's already next to 1. So this time it means that the O must not be a bomb. So I can open it. I can click on it and open it. And this tells me that there's 3 bombs next to this square. But I don't know which 3. I don't yet have enough information for me to safely click on any of the squares. So what I'll do is I'll go to a square where I do have enough information. And usually that's like a corner square like this. 1, this must be a flag, a bomb, excuse me. So now that I know that that's a bomb, and this is a 1, there's only one bomb next to this square, and I already know which one that is, so all the other ones must be safe to click and open. And as I click on these squares and open them, with Stacksweeper, you are collecting letters as you go, right? And the collected letters go into this word letter rack, and you can use these letters to submit any acceptable English word, right? So it has to be, it can't really be random names, it can't really be random slang words, it has to be an accepted Scrabble dictionary word. So that's basically how the game is played. And sometimes you get into tricky situations. So for example, here you have a 4, so it's already touching 3 bombs, and there's only 1 remaining, which means that this one must be a bomb. And now I look at this 3, it's already touching 3, so this one must be a non-bomb, a safe square. I look at this 1, it's already touching this one, so this one must be safe. And now I have more information. I look at this 1, and this is the only remaining square, so this one must be a bomb. And now I look at this 2, this is again the only remaining square, and it has to be touching 2 bombs, so this one must be a bomb. So I just continue through the grid like that and just try to clear as many of the squares as possible until the entire grid is opened up. But having said that, I notice now that I only have 1 minute left in my gate 1 time. I've just been focused on explaining this game to you a little bit too much. I think I don't. I have never. I don't have that many vowels. That's the problem. Yeah, 12 points. Not going to be good enough. Yeah, no, either I rush this. Here, let's try to hit a cascade. No, didn't work out. It's okay. Let's just try again. This is probably just going to be the last round that we play today. But yeah, so I hope that kind of helps explain what Minesweeper is and a little bit of, you know, how Stacksweeper works. So today's secret word is a large fortified building from medieval times, home to nobility. So that, I suspect, would be a castle. And I'm not cheating here because the secret word clue here is generated by AI. So I didn't input that myself, so I don't know what it is exactly. I suspect that it's castle, but it could be something else. But I would need S-T-L-E-C. I need a C and an L to spell castle. Okay, I've collected an L, and I just need a C. Where could I get a C? There we go, 3, C. And here's another thing. When you see a 3 and it's just flush up against, it's at the border of a bunch of open squares, it means that it's only touching 3 flags, and all the squares that it's touching must be a bomb square. So you just kind of use information like that, and there's some patterns that you can start to recognize and use as you learn the game. But it's not always, easy at first. There we go. I need man, where can I find a C? H-A. Oh, here's a C right here. Hopefully that's not a bomb square so I can grab it. Okay. Yes, I can. Okay. So I have enough words for castle. Boom! Secret word found. Castle, 100 points. There we go. So with that just one word, we've cleared gate 1 and we've cleared half of gate 2. So I'm quite glad that I was able to show you that. So now that we have that clear, today's goal, like I said, is to hit 500 points, and I've also said that this is going to be the last game that I play, so let's see if we can get to 500 points in this game. Okay, I'm just going to focus a little bit and just shut up and play the game so that I can actually hit that goal. Okay, so I'll check back in with you when I get closer to that objective, either that or I hit a bomb and fail to reach that objective. Gate 1 cleared, let's go. Boom, I love it when I hit a random cascade like that. It just kind of gives you a little dopamine hit. And you feel like you've, you know, made progress, but, I mean you have, but it's not to your own merit. It's just how the grid is set up. There was a bunch of empty squares, and you got lucky to hit that cascade. But we'll take what we can and use it to our advantage. So here's 5 bombs. 1, 2, 3. No, I don't have enough. So here's an interesting scenario. Look, if this number 2 here, it's already touching 1, so it must mean that either the J or the E square is a bomb, right? We don't know which one, but we also have this 1 here, which is also touching both the J and the E, which either one of them must have a bomb. So that means that this one, the Q square, cannot be a bomb. So that's kind of, you know, the fun side of Minesweeper or Stacksweeper as well, is that you find these kind of logical scenarios where you figure out that using some non-obvious piece of information that something must have a bomb or must not have a bomb, it feels pretty good. That's part of the fun here. Jazzical, secret word, gives you 100 points. That's a massive word. Again, this one of my go-to words, blizzard, 87 points. We are at 300 points already. Okay, not too bad. Let's see. Vagrant, not. Demented. Okay. Vector, 22 points. Almost 400 points now. Queer, 21 points. Wax. Okay, not great. Vegan, 14 points. Okay, let's save some of the vowels so I can hit some big words instead of a bunch of small ones. That's kind of a strategic move as well. And the thing is, it's kind of like I could make a mistake at any point, right? And so there is that balance between how many letters. If I have save a bunch of letters here and I don't use any of them, thinking, look, I'm gonna have time later to submit words and get points, and then I don't submit any words and I hit a bomb and I lose the game, then I get 0 points. So that's kind of something that you have to take into consideration as well. Because if that happens, then it's obviously a strategic error. I mean, maybe it's not an error because you've taken a risk there. Maybe if it had worked out, you cleared most of the board, you have a bunch of letters, and you have so many letters that you can create these big fancy words and get a bunch of points, then maybe it works out. But then again, maybe it doesn't. So that kind of depends on what kind of risk appetite you have and what type of player you are, and all that kind of stuff factors into the game as well. Not just your skill, but also your strategy and your logical kind of thinking process. Okay, it's just today's aim. We need 60 more points, so we can probably get there now. Okay, let's just. Okay, can do. No, I don't have enough words. Eliminate. What don't I have? I'm just gonna cheat. Nope. Wait, what don't I have? I don't have the G. Man. Well, what I do have is time, so. Delete. Oh my god. See, these kind of words, it seems okay, but I wasted 3 E's on a word. I got 14 points. don't have a T anymore. Okay. Should I gamble? Maybe I should. Okay. So there's a T here and there's a T here. This one is 1 in 3, right? Because this one, I'm just gonna gamble on this one. Yes. Boom. 48 points. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done it 500 points. So I'm gonna keep this video shorter. We've reached our goal. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.